My WWE Night of Champions 2011 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view was last night. Now, I would have done this review like I normally do after the show, but the reason why I didn't do it last night was because of the glitches on YouTube where no videos were showing up in anyone's subscriptions box, so I wanted to wait till that got fixed. It looks like that's been cleared up on YouTube, so let me get into my review. Now, as far as this show, it was on paper and the way it looked going into it, I don't think anyone should expect an excellent pay-per-view from WWE, but there was a number of things on here that could have been good, and sadly WWE with some of their booking ruined a lot of the stuff. Because with this show, the one thing I will say is it wasn't really the wrestling that ruined the show, because there was actually some good solid wrestling on this show. Really the problem that hurt the show was a lot of their atrocious booking on here. First, you have, an opening match on a pay-per-view, which actually was going on to be a fairly good match, tag team title match with Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston versus the Miz and R-Truth. You have the opening match ending disqualification, which makes sense for the storyline and what they're trying to further there, but it's not a smart move to open your pay-per-view up with the disqualification. Another thing is, now this is just personal preference with me with this one, because I know some people like the idea, and then some people hate the idea. I'm on the side that dislikes it, and that is Mark Henry becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, they built him up pretty strong, and I think, everyone going into this show and seeing him become World Heavyweight Champion shouldn't have really been completely shocked, because they were building it up. So it made sense, but I do not like the idea of him as World Heavyweight Champion. Hopefully, he doesn't have a really long title run, because I would not be shocked if WWE would give us kind of like what WWE did last year when Kane won the title and he had it for probably about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. Hopefully they don't do that with Mark Henry. He just keeps the title maybe for a month or two. He's been there for 15 years, so I guess it's something he could say he finally won the title, but just do not like the idea of him being champion. And the two other problems with the show were the John Cena and Alberto Del Rio match actually wasn't a bad match, but the booking decision of having John Cena yet again become World Heavyweight Champion is just showing that instead of WWE thinking outside the box, they're just going back to the status quo. Now, I'm actually a fan of John Cena, but I agree with a lot of people that, dislike John Cena as well, even though I'm a fan of Cena, that WWE just keeps on shoving him down people's throats, and he did not need to win the title here. I'm not the hugest Alberto Del Rio fan, but Alberto Del Rio just won the title. He's a new face, someone new being the World Heavyweight Champion, and they should have kept running with it. I'm not saying I wanted to see like a 6-month or a year-long title reign, but he could have at least been champion for maybe, 2-3 more months and, actually build someone up here. They pretty much buried him with this match with Cena going over. Then the main event, which was the main reason why I was looking forward to this pay-per-view, which was Triple H versus CM Punk in the no disqualification match, which actually was a pretty good match. I actually enjoyed the match they had, but the problem with it was the atrocious booking, which I'll get into when I review this show. The booking of that match just completely ruined it. And I'm not just referring to Triple H going over and Punk not winning, because I think some of us saw that coming, especially when they did the thing where, if Triple H loses, he's no longer the CEO. So that kind of showed right there that he was probably most likely to win the match, but just the overbooking nature of that match just hurt it. So it was really, on this show, it wasn't really the wrestling that hurt the show. It was really more or less the booking. And actually some of the booking was like Vince Russo-esque type booking, especially the last 5 to 6 minutes or whatever time when they started doing all the run-ins and everything with the main event. Just seemed like something Russo would have booked either in TNA or back in the dying days of WCW. Just was atrocious right there. So let me get into the review. The first matchup was the Miz and R-Truth versus Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston for the WWE Tag Team titles. This is actually going on to be a good match. Saw some great back and forth action with them. Really like the teaming and pairing of Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston, Air Boom. And Miz and R-Truth are a pretty good tag team as well. I really like the thing they're going with, both of them, playing off they're not getting their just dues, and, R-Truth, claiming there's this, massive conspiracy that's against them in WWE. So it's a really good angle with that. And it made sense the way the match ended. The match ends in disqualification, where pretty much the Miz thought he picked up the victory, but then attacked the ref. So the match ends in disqualification with obviously Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne winning the match via disqualification. Then R-Truth and the Miz attacked the referee post-match. And actually, it was going on to be a very good match. Was really get into it. Just the ending hurt it. I would probably give it, 2 1/4 stars, mainly because of the DQ finish right there. Now, it was the second or third match. It wouldn't have came off as bad, but as an opener for a pay-per-view, not a smart way to start your pay-per-view off with a DQ finish. Then the next matchup was Cody Rhodes versus Ted DiBiase for the IC title. Actually, pretty decent match. I wouldn't say a good to great match. It was just a decent match with these two. They were pretty much both just seemed like they were going through the motions. Ted DiBiase looked pretty good in this match. Cody Rhodes as well. Just a match you would expect these two to see. You would see on SmackDown. Didn't feel like a special match, which is a match that just got added at the last minute anyway, just so they would fill time pretty much. Cody Rhodes retains, which was the smart decision. I do want to see them push Ted DiBiase, but Cody Rhodes does need to keep a hold of this IC title, so he did retain, and I would say maybe a 1 3/4 star match, maybe 2-star match. Then the next matchup was really one of the best matches of the night, which was John Morrison versus Alex Riley versus Jack Swagger versus Dolph Ziggler in the U.S. title. This match was very good. Really, the only weak link you have in this match, which was Alex Riley. And I'm thinking WWE with their booking, they realize how much the fans dislike Alex Riley and do not want to see WWE push him, because they did a damn good job teasing that he would have won, which I think everyone, when he hit that even flow DDT in this match, people were like, please do not win the U.S. title. Thankfully he didn't. You saw Morrison do a lot of his insane spots in this match. Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger both looked very good. They were furthering the Swagger and Dolph Ziggler stuff in here, and kind of playing off the Ziggler and Alex Riley little feud they had as well. So it was a fairly good match. Really got into it, and really liked the ending of the match. Looked like Jack Swagger was going to pick up the victory. He hit the gut-wrench powerbomb onto John Morrison. Then Dolph Ziggler came in there, pretty much got him out of there, so he couldn't get the pinfall, and stole the victory from Jack Swagger. So it furthers that thing, and a good heelish way for Dolph Ziggler to retain the U.S. title. And pretty much a fluke fashion right there, with him just stealing the win. And about a 3-star, maybe even 3 1/4 star match. Really was into that match, and one of the better matches on this pay-per-view. Then the next matchup was Mark Henry versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I already gave my thoughts on the ending of this match with Mark Henry becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Do not like the idea of it, but I think most people going into this pay-per-view and the way they were booking Mark Henry, they were booking him very strong. I don't think many of us should have been shocked for him to see him become World Heavyweight Champion. I just don't like the idea of him as World Champion. It's just a personal preference, just one of the things that, one of the pet peeves. I do not like him as World Champion. Hopefully, we don't have to see it that long. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be shocked if we have to see a very long, boring title reign from Mark Henry. Now, Orton tried his best to pull out the best match he could with Mark Henry. And actually, for a Henry match, I wouldn't say it was god-awful. It was probably the one of the better matches of Mark Henry. It was at least somewhat watchable. If you can somewhat, take away your bias if you dislike Mark Henry becoming champion, it actually wasn't too bad of a match. It was at least decent, watchable. Henry wins the match after hitting the world's strongest slam, and I would say about 2 1/4 star match. So for a Henry match, it was watchable. Orton tried his best to pull out the best match he possibly could. Then the next matchup was Kelly versus Beth Phoenix for the Divas title. Now, this match was pretty much the exact same match you saw at SummerSlam. Really no difference, and even the ending of the match was booked the same. They did the same type of finish where they did the sunset flip, and Kelly reversed it into a roll-through pinfall victory. And she defeated Beth Phoenix yet again, which I don't know why they're holding off Beth Phoenix becoming Women's Champion. I don't know why they're holding off her becoming Divas Champion. She should have won it right here. But, we know the way Vince McMahon is. This was actually in Beth Phoenix's hometown, and Vince likes booking a lot of people, ever since, the 97 Screwjob. Whenever you're in your hometown, other than a few rare occasions, you pretty much always lose in your hometown for the most part, other than a few rare instances. You actually almost always lose in your hometown, so Beth Phoenix did lose this match. Hopefully they give her the Divas title at some point, because I think she would really revitalize the women's division in WWE, and I don't think anyone wants to see Kelly still as Divas champion. Just a typical match, you know, not typical Divas match, nothing too special here, and Kelly unfortunately does retain. I would say about a 1.5-star match. Easily the worst match of the night was that. Then the next matchup was Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena, which actually wasn't that bad of a match. This was obviously for the WWE title. Actually was going on to be a pretty decent match. You know, saw some good back and forth action. Both these two worked fairly well with each other. Just the one thing that was bad with it was the ending of the match, which was, like I said earlier, I'm actually a fan of John Cena, but I will agree in this instance with the people that, you know, dislike the way WWE, you know, pretty much shoves John Cena down our throats. He did not need to become champion yet again here. And I'm not the hugest Alberto Del Rio fan, but I would have said the best booking move would have been to keep him as champion. And they made him look very weak at the end, where, you know, Cena puts him in the STFU, and very quickly, not that long after he gets the STFU in, Alberto Del Rio taps out. So Alberto looked very weak in this match, which, for a change, you know, when someone wins the Money in the Bank and becomes world champion, they tend to book them very, very weak when they're world champion. They were actually not doing that with Alberto Del Rio, which kind of made me think they were actually going to, you know, give him a pretty, you know, maybe not a lengthy, you know, 6-month title reign, but maybe like a 3-4 month reign as champion instead of just a paper champion, which was what this reign was, which, you know, that's what they've done a lot of times with the Money in the Bank winner. You know, when they cash it in, they, you know, keep the title fairly short, just like when Edge cashed it in the first time. Same thing happened here, and he actually did the same thing, which was lose to John Cena. The match actually wasn't too bad. I would probably give it maybe 3 stars. It was actually, I'll probably give it 3 1/4 stars, because I actually did enjoy that match, and, you know, the 4-way U.S. title match were the best matches of the night. Just the booking in that match, you know, with Alberto Del Rio losing, wasn't the smartest decision, because I think they should have kept the title around him. You know, he draws a lot of heat from the crowd. Obviously, you know, John Cena is always getting that, you know, 50-50 from the crowd, hating and loving from the crowd. And I think it would have been better if Alberto Del Rio would have won. And this is coming from someone that actually is not a fan of Alberto Del Rio. And actually, I'm a fan of John Cena, but I don't think he should have won the title here. It was completely pointless. But actually, pretty decent match, a pretty good match with Alberto Del Rio and Cena. Just think, you know, they maybe could have been given a little more time, and, you know, Cena going over was pointless in my opinion. Then the next matchup was the main event, which was the selling point of this pay-per-view, obviously, which was the no disqualification match with CM Punk versus Triple H, which these two were having a hell of a match. I was really into it. I was pretty much on the edge of my seat. Was really getting into it. But then they had to ruin it with the overbooking nature of the match, and probably, what was it, the last 6-7 minutes of the match, when they started doing a lot of these run-ins, which they started it off with the Miz and R-Truth coming in there, which I guess they'll play that off, that, you know, both of them don't think they're getting their just dues in WWE, and they're getting held back, so that's the reason why they interfered there. But I think it was pointless. We knew, you know, John Laurinaitis would have probably gotten involved, so that made sense. And Kevin Nash getting involved made sense as well. He had an excellent spot in this match where they did a table spot where Triple H was on the table, and CM Punk did this super elbow drop through it, which was excellent. These two worked very well with each other. It's just the booking in the last couple minutes really ruined the match, in my opinion. Some will probably even go further than what I'm saying. I'm not saying it was a terrible match, but the match really got hurt a lot because of the way they booked it. You know, with you know, Nash coming in there, he hits the jackknife powerbomb onto CM Punk. He tries to hit it on Triple H. Triple H then is out of the ring. Nash is as well. Triple H hits Nash with the sledgehammer, gets back in the ring, hits the pedigree, which I think this is probably the second or third pedigree Triple H hit CM Punk in this match, and Triple H wins this match, so Triple H is still the COO. which when that got added, I think most people were probably, you know, knowing that Triple H was most likely going to walk out of this match as champion. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't have done that, but maybe at, you know, there's only two weeks left till the next pay-per-view, which is Hell in the Cell, so maybe we'll see, you know, Triple H versus CM Punk in a Hell in the Cell, which could be very good. Hopefully they just do not do the type of booking that they did in this match, which hurt it. So I would give the main event probably, you know, 2 3/4 stars. Some people might say that's a little too generous dealing with the way they booked it, but it wasn't that bad of a match, and I was into it until they did that, you know, atrocious overbooking at the end of the match. Overall, I would give the show about a 6 out of 10, maybe even the 6.25 out of 10. Wasn't one of WWE's worst pay-per-views, but it was definitely a pay-per-view that was it was kind of a below-average pay-per-view where if they would have booked certain stuff better, it probably could have been a very good show from WWE. Imagine if they would have had good booking on here where, you know, the opening match didn't end in disqualification. Imagine if they didn't do the overbooking with Triple H and CM Punk. That could have been an excellent match because it was going on to be a very good match, but it was pretty much ruined by that. So I would give the pay-per-view, like I said, about 6 out of 10, maybe even 6.5 out of 10, 6.25 out of 10. Just wasn't much of it. It wasn't a good show from WWE, and the U.S. title is really one of the best things on here. And Cena and Alberto Del Rio, if you can take away, you know, if you dislike Cena becoming champion, they actually didn't have a bad match with each other, though. So those are the two best things on here. And Triple H and CM Punk was going on good until the booking of it. So that's it for my WWE United Champions 2011 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.